From the classic to the utterly unusual, these furry or feathered or scaly friends have stood beside some of the most influential figures in American history. So, get ready to indulge as we dive into the diverse collection of pets that have called the White House home over the years. Part 2. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe. William Howard Taft. William Howard Taft had a more low-key but still charming collection of pets. The stars of his White House were 2 cows named Mooly and Pauline Wayne. Pauline Wayne became a bit of a celebrity. She wasn't just grazing in the background. She was the last cow to live at the White House and provided fresh milk for the first family. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson's pets played a key role during World War I. Wilson kept 48 sheep on the White House lawn, and these woolly workers weren't just there to look cute. With many workers overseas, the sheep handled lawn maintenance by munching on the grass, which saved on labor costs and kept the grounds looking sharp. But wait, there's more. The sheep's wool was auctioned off to raise money for the American Red Cross, so they were basically pulling double duty: lawn care and charity work. Who knew sheep could be so patriotic? Warren G. Harding. Warren G. Harding was all about his dog, Laddie Boy. This Airedale Terrier wasn't just any pet. Laddie Boy was the first presidential pet to get regular newspaper coverage. Imagine today's Instagram famous pets, but in the 1920s. Laddie Boy attended cabinet meetings, had his own chair, and was pretty much a national sensation. Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge might not have had as many pets as Theodore Roosevelt, but what he lacked in quantity he made up for in variety. And a bit of drama. One of his standout pets was a rabbit named Peter. Now, Peter wasn't just any rabbit. When he passed away, he was given a proper state funeral. Herbert Hoover. When Herbert Hoover ran for president in 1928, his advisors knew they needed something, or someone, to give him an edge. Enter King Tut, not the ancient Egyptian pharaoh, but Hoover's Belgian shepherd. Photos of Hoover with King Tut were everywhere, and it's safe to say this furry friend helped Hoover secure his spot in the White House. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt had a soft spot for dogs, and none were more famous than his Scottish Terrier, Fala. Fala wasn't just a pet, he was an icon. During FDR's 1944 campaign for a 4th term, a rumor spread that FDR had spent millions of taxpayer dollars to retrieve Fala after he was accidentally left behind in the Aleutian Islands. FDR addressed the rumor in a speech humorously, saying, "Well, of course I don't resent a tax, and my family doesn't resent a tax, but Fala does resent them. If only all political scandals could be diffused with a good dog story, right?" Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman is often quoted as saying, "If you want a friend in Washington, get a dog." Ironically, Truman didn't actually have any pets during his time in the White House. There are some accounts that he had a short-haired American Cocker Spaniel named Feller, and there are even photos of him with the dog. But for whatever reason, Feller didn't stick around. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Dwight D. Eisenhower had a parakeet named Gabby and a Weimaraner named Heidi. Their bond was so strong that when Heidi caused some damage to the White House lawn, she was sent to live on a farm in Gettysburg, a decision that undoubtedly saddened the president. John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy had an Irish Cocker Spaniel, a mutt named Pushinka, a German Shepherd, and especially a French Poodle named Golly, after Charles de Gaulle, and a whole host of other pets. Kennedy's pets weren't just there for show. They were a symbol of the Kennedy family's lively and international spirit. Pushinka, for instance, wasn't just any mutt. She was practically canine royalty, with a lineage that included Soviet space travelers. If that doesn't add a little extra flair to a presidential pet collection, I don't know what does. Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson was a true dog lover, and his beagles, him and her, were the stars of the show. These two became quite famous, especially after photos surfaced of Johnson lifting him by the ears, a move that sparked both amusement and outrage. Johnson also had a stray dog named Yuki, found by his daughter. He also had lovebirds and hamsters, making the Johnson White House a bustling hub of animal activity. If you had to pick a presidential pet, would you go for something classic like a beagle, or would you opt for a more exotic choice? Share us your thoughts in the comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon's most famous pet was a Cocker Spaniel named Checkers, who became a household name after Nixon mentioned him in a 1952 speech during his vice presidential campaign. This speech, later known as the Checkers speech, was a turning point for Nixon, helping him win public sympathy and keep his political career on track. Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford's golden retriever Liberty was more than just a pet. She was practically a symbol of Ford's presidency. Liberty was often photographed with Ford in the Oval Office, embodying the warmth and approachability that Ford wanted to convey. Liberty later had a puppy named Misty, who also became part of the Ford family. If you were president, would you let your dog roam the Oval Office? Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter's pet collection had a charming southern flair, with a border collie named Grits leading the pack. Grits was a gift from a 9-year-old girl named Amy, and quickly became a beloved member of the Carter family. But Grits wasn't the only star. Carter also had a Siamese cat with an unforgettable name, Misty Malarkey Yin Yang, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's love for animals was well known, especially when it came to dogs. His most famous canine companion was Rex, a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, who often accompanied Reagan and his wife, Nancy, on their walks. Rex wasn't just a pet. He was a part of the Reagan image, embodying the president's love for animals and the outdoors. Reagan's pet collection also included 2 Siamese cats named Cleo and Sarah, adding a bit of feline flair to the mix. George H.W. Bush. Of all his pets, George H.W. Bush's English Springer Spaniel Millie was the true star. Millie became one of the most famous presidential pets in American history, even writing a book titled Millie's Book, as dictated to Barbara Bush. The book became a bestseller and offered a whimsical look at life in the White House from a dog's perspective. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, who brought some serious pet drama to the White House. Clinton had a cat named Socks and a dog named Buddy. And let's just say these two didn't exactly get along. After Clinton left office, the 2 pets went their separate ways. Socks went to live with Clinton's former secretary, while Buddy stayed with Clinton. George W. Bush. George W. Bush had 2 Scottish Terriers, but it was Spot, the English Springer Spaniel, who had a special connection to the Bush family. Spot was actually the offspring of Millie, George H.W. Bush's dog, making Spot a true White House legacy pet. It's like having a dog that's also presidential royalty. If you had to choose between a dog or a cat for the White House, which would you pick? Barack Obama. Barack Obama, always one to keep things cool, had 2 Portuguese water dogs named Bo and Sonny. These dogs weren't just pets, they were practically celebrities. But the Obamas didn't stop there. They also had a pet tortoise named Tilly. What's your take? Would you go for the energetic pups or the chill tortoise? Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who broke with a century-old tradition by having no pets in the White House. That's right. Trump was the first president in over 100 years to go pet-free. Trump decided to keep things simple and stick to running the country without the added responsibility of a furry or scaly companion. Joe Biden. Joe Biden brought a pair of German shepherds named Champ and Major to the White House. Champ was the longtime Biden family dog, a seasoned pro when it came to life with the Bidens. Major, on the other hand, made history as the first shelter dog to live in the White House. Talk about a glow-up. But Major's time in the spotlight wasn't all smooth sailing. After a few biting incidents, he was sent back to Delaware. Champ, the elder statesman of the pack, passed away in 2021. Not to worry, though. The Bidens soon adopted a new German shepherd named Commander, who quickly took on the role of first dog. If you were president, would you adopt a shelter pet? Or would you go for something a little more traditional? And there you have it, some of the most fascinating stories about presidential pets we've come across. Which one stood out to you? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.